Welcome to listening to Paint Dry, the live stream about the art and hobby of miniature painting. I'm Mike.
And I'm Dev, and there's no Dan.
There is no Dan, but thank you for joining us on our continued quest to become better, braver, happier painters. Yes, Dan is traveling with family, and so yep, we it'll probably be a couple weeks before we have him back. I know he's got a full slate of trips going on, so that is, well, we wish him the best and hope he has a good time and safe travels. Um, I apologize. I'm posting on Facebook and on Instagram that we are live to let people know. And those are done. And so now you have my full attention. Happy New Year, Deb.
Happy New Year, Mike. It's 2025. It feels like we're living in the future, and it's maybe looking a little dystopic. So,
Good God, what a way to start the year.
I
Like,
know
I
it's
mean,
yeah,
thank God we have something like the hobby to just bury our heads in the sand. You know what I mean?
absolutely,
It-
absolutely. Let's live on our fictional dystopic universes that are
right, right. That way we don't have to worry about the current, just the one we actually live in, right?
absolutely,
Um,
absolutely. At least it's not Trench Crusade, right? At least we're not living in Trench Crusade.
Fair point. Fair point. And I made a mistake about that because I was explaining to somebody, my son, I thought it was revisionist history World War II, but it's actually World War One, not World War
Yes,
Two.
yeah. Yeah, heavy into the trench warfare for sure. Um,
Yes. And so, and on that note, I did, because Dan's printers are down, I printed some out for him. I was supposed to go see him, but it just hasn't worked out. One of the Saturdays I was gonna bring all the old hammer stuff that I have, which actually what we can do is part of our conversation today, I can show the full list of what I have, which is
yeah, that'd
kind
be
of
great.
crazy when you think about it. You know what I mean? And you look through the list yourself, right?
I did. We've got Mr. Stark is on. Hey JT, it's good to have you
JT.
here. Yeah, it's yeah. I had a look through that list. But it's a hell of a collection. Honestly, it's crazy. So
Yeah. Yeah, and it's we're trying to figure out the way that the club wants to sell it. I don't want to handle any cash, but they also are deciding whether or not they want to use something like PayPal or Venmo or something instead of doing the cash. Um, and so yeah, but yeah, let me know when you want. We can delve into that because it's fun. It's a nice trip down memory lane.
yeah, no, that's true. I mean, let's do the round the table of what we've been up to first, and then we can dive into the models. It's
Okay.
been the holiday period, so obviously there's nothing else to do except for paint and entertain family and a million and one other things that never get done the rest of the year. So what have you been working on? How's progress been?
So I've been a little quicksandy. It's things haven't been like I feel like I'm still painting the same damn things. I am in the last stage of quality control for the Pirate Commission. But I'm also now so a lot well before the Pirate Commission. My friend Dutch had given me some Lord of the Rings models. There are who's the army that goes with the Mamuk or the Mumak
The
elephant?
Haradrim?
Yes, and so he had given me I had already painted most of that army for him. Um, but he was switching to an army of camel riders. I don't know who that is. I don't know if that's Easterling or whatever.
Maybe.
But he had given me the rest of his army to paint, which is only, I mean, it was 20 something models, but that was a long time ago, and they were like low priority when you get to it, you know what I mean? And then all of a sudden, he had commissioned that camel army from somebody else, and the new edition came out, and guess what is no longer included in the new Lord of the Rings. So his entire army that he had commissioned was completely wiped out by Lord of the Ring
Oh,
by Games Workshop. So
damn!
um,
I didn't think they were removing units from in the editions. That's kind of sucky. I hadn't heard about that.
well, the entire army is gone.
Yeah, I
That
mean,
entire segment, yeah,
I
not
thought
even
it was
just
purely
units,
additive.
yeah,
Interesting.
right. No, and then part of his other army was these ogre guys, and they're gone.
Oh,
And so I'm not painting them. I'm just he's got some archers and basically it's the last wave of archers and it's like six archers, six pikemen, and then six guys that are I already had painted the horse mount. I guess you have a mounted and an unmounted version of each model in Lord of the Rings. And so now I have the last six unmounted. So about 6 times 3, 18 models left in that. So I'm just going to do a whole big delivery for him on it at
amazing.
some point in the next 2 weeks. But that's the main thing of what I've done besides printing some Trench Crusade stuff for Dan. It's really funny. One of the popular models that you see everybody painting is the Witch Burner General, and it's a guy. I hate the hats. I know that those pointy cone hats are well before the Ku Klux Klan and they're a religious thing. I hate them. I hate them. I hate them. I hate them because they only evoke KKK to me. So I will probably never paint that model. But it's really he's walking with a cane, and I, for the love of God, cannot get that cane to print right. No matter how many supports, where I put the supports. Um, one of it came out like a Z, actually looks really cool. And so I'm gonna talk to Dan about that. I'm like, you may have to wait and reprint. This is one of those ones that I can't succeed at. So uh, you know, but also I'm printing on my old reliable the Sonic uh Frozen Mini 4K because I just haven't spent the time to do the whole voodoo of changing the FEP for the Ultra or
Okay.
for the Saturn 4,
Yeah.
which is a bit of a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
Because you don't just put the piece of plastic in, you put the frame down, you put a spacer in, then you put the plastic over it. So
Hmm.
there is some slack when you first do the frame, and then I guess the slack goes away when you take that frame and put it in the the connected to the vat. So, but I have it all set up to do now. I have the apparently the foam piece that you use to do that comes with it, but it's impossible to find, and it looks exactly like the foam inside or inserts, and so most people wind up throwing it away. Like me, as in most people too. I totally threw it away.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. I can see that. I've had some close calls with that kind of thing in the past. Sean is
right,
on as well. Sean says, "How GW of GW," which I'm assuming is a reference to deprecating units and armies. In which case, I would
yep.
say I wholeheartedly agree, especially as the thing that I've been on recently is Warhammer Underworld's Emberguard, which has notably nixed about 20 of the warbands that they'd previously come out with. Um, I don't think it's unreasonable, honestly. It sucks a little bit that I have them all and barely played most of them, but I think it was well overdue an overhaul. So far, from what I've seen, it looks pretty good. I'm hoping to get a game out in the next week or two. I've been putting out videos. I did an assembly guide for the models, which dropped on New Year's Eve. I've got an unboxing video that's dropping tomorrow on my channel, which is Raggedy Pants. And I'll,
Now, did you do the unboxing? Did you film the unboxing video on Boxing Day?
I actually did, and I didn't even think about it. Yes, that was mostly shot on Boxing Day. So
Yeah.
yeah, good call, good call. I yeah, I also just I coincidentally picked the game up. It wasn't even a Christmas present. I had a load of credit at a local game store from trading in some Lorcana cards, and I was looking at stuff, and I saw that this was on the shelf, and I'm like, I'm gonna pick it up anyway eventually, so I might as well get it on credit and use up some of the credit I had in store. So, yeah.
Hmm.
Um,
Nice.
yeah. So, but they definitely do have a habit of nixing stuff, which is a little unfortunate. Um,
Right. Well, most of the Stormcast I have that I own are gone. Like from the original Chambers when they retired all those units. Yeah, I have every model they retired.
nice. Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. It's
But let me ask you this question in this regards. So does that now affect the Golden Demon? Because lore accuracy is a part of the Golden Demon. Are Do models that are retired now run the risk of being disqualified because they're retired,
okay. So,
or less likely that they have a chance at winning anything because you
yeah.
put in a retired model?
I think so. Here's the thing: is I think they're still eligible to be entered, right? They're still Games Workshop models, just as like you can enter Rogue Trader models, and they're eligible for entry, right? I
Right,
do think. I mean, we all know that Games Workshop tends to favor the new hotness models in the Golden Demon Awards, right? We've seen this
right.
repeatedly. You know, if you were one of the guys that got Lionel in advance and you got to spend 8 months in advance painting Lionel up, oh look, you happen to do a lot better in the awards. I think that's kind of unfortunately inevitable in the way the company runs the contest, and I'd say it's a natural byproduct of having a painting competition that is run by a manufacturer. They're favoring their products and they're wanting to use it as a marketing opportunity, and to do that they push their newer products. Um,
Well,
yeah.
I'll throw into it too that um well, damn it, I just lost my train of thought. It was where was I going with it? Shoot, we'll have to come back to it because I literally just lost my train of thought on it. Using it as a marketing tool. I'm gone. I'm toast. Anyways, keep going, Dan. Deb, not you're
Sure,
not Dan.
sure. I'm not going to call it all out now, but JT has been putting some excellent advice on your FEP situation into the chat thread. So I'm going to tell you
Okay.
to go back and check that out afterwards. Um, there's something to do with bicycle playing cards. I'm not entirely sure what that's about, but I'm sure it will make sense to you.
It actually totally makes sense to me because the square is 80 millimeters by 80 millimeters and then 8 millimeters thick. So that makes a lot of sense to use bicycle playing cards to stack them up
Yep.
and then get
And
that in.
apparently it's 32
Brilliant.
bicycle playing cards. So that's the block size you need.
JT, you are brilliant as always.
Um,
Dude made a whatchamacallit. He's an electrician by trade, and so he made a windmill, like a conical windmill, to create to start the process of creating a phone charge, a sustainable phone charger.
Oh, that's genius.
Yeah,
That's
he's a
actually
badass.
super cool. Like, especially if you can make it with like uh, folding turbines and stuff, so that it'll go like, I mean, not necessarily in your pocket, but it'll collapse down. Like that. That'd be amazing. I'm well up
Yeah,
for that.
he's pretty badass with that stuff. I'm impressed. Every time I talk to him, I learn something new about him. I'm like, damn, dude.
All right, I have
Uh,
a few other things that I've been working on. So Ember Guard models. Let me see if I can. Let's see if I can really flex here and get this so that even Mike can see it, because normally poor Mike is left in the dark here. Um,
yeah, I'm not even on. Like, I don't have my phones on YouTube, so I need to change that.
Ooh, this is okay. It's not going to work. Um,
That's over.
all right, so I'll switch it so that everybody else gets to take a look, and if Mike can pull out his.
Yep. I'm gonna put out my phone.
So these are some of the M-Guard models. They are all primed up and they've been dry brush zenithal. So I'm kind of leaning into the slap choppiness for the tutorial. Um, So we've got, can't remember which one this is, one of the Ember Watch, and I've got a bunch of others. As always, Stormcast are super boring to me, and seemingly everybody else that I hear talk about this game. You
I
can't.
love me some Stormcast.
These Skaven have so much personality. I absolutely love them. Like mini Doomwheel, seriously, like it's amazing. It just looks like
I
a
get
kind of
it.
infinity monocycle. It's great. Um,
The only thing I'll say is I hear so many people complaining that say that Stormcasts are boring. I don't 100% disagree. I think there are units that are better than others, and I actually like some of the older units better. Um, but honestly, if I see another goddamn Space Marine Lieutenant, I don't know if I'll ever look at 40K stuff again.
yeah, that ship sailed about 2 years ago for me. I'm done with that lot. So this is the last of my Relic Blade Lone Guard models that is in need of finishing off. So I'm working on the skin tones, and then it's just all the bells and whistles, his wrist guards, his boots, little potion bottle, those kinds of things. But the others are all done, and unfortunately I packed them away before the stream, so did not have time to crack them back out again. I'm hoping this guy will be finished off in the next day or two. And then Mike should probably get on the phone to witness these two, because I think he'll be pretty psyched to see them. But this is the first one. This is a little 3D print. Some of you may have seen this before. I'm teasing Mike by not making it over from what I'm saying as to what this is, because I don't think he's expecting me to have worked on this one. So.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, this
I see
was
it. Yeah.
a quick little slap choppy job of our logo. I painted it up literally last night, completely from start to finish. I was dry brush zenithal the Ember Guard models, and I had this guy there as I was rummaging through a drawer, and I thought, why not paint it up? I did a true metallic silver on the cannon arm, and then glazed over it with a blue contrast paint. And I need to gloss it up to make it a little bit shinier, but otherwise I'm pretty happy with it. I wanted the Mega Man cannon vibe, seeing as we'd had that discussion about Mega Man versus Samus Aran. But the jeans, I think, and the cannon both being blue is a little bit unfortunate, as they're different blues, but they kind of read the same way nonetheless.
I think it looks fantastic. That's the second one. The first one we saw was from JT,
Yeah.
who's on this stream. Yeah, this is beautiful, Dev. Thank
So
you for doing that. One of these days, I'll do it too.
that was a fun little evening exercise, and then this is the other one, which I am also not sure that Mike has actually seen yet. So I had a lot of fun doing the base. This is a cartoon style base. The idea is largely stolen from Epic Duck Studios, and then kind of just gone hog wild with the brush applied texturing of the fur and stuff here. And having a lot of fun with this. I need to finish off the reds and go a little bit further with the fur, but I mean, broad strokes, he's kind of getting there. I'd probably touch up the ears a little bit as well. But
That looks fantastic.
Thank you, man. Yeah, this is one of my favorite characters from Hanna-Barbera. I'm a huge fan of Dick Dastardly, Muttley and their Flying Machines. And I actually have the full, all the episodes on DVD and have watched them repeatedly. So I was really enjoying painting this up. And I'll
Yeah, I'm glad he came in one piece.
Yes.
I was worried about that tail breaking because I printed that and sent it to you, and it was it actually is a gorgeous print.
Yeah, I should have given the background here. So this was a little bit of a surprise piece that Mike threw into a recent care package he sent me with some basing supplies and some listening to paint dry tie-dye stickers. And I was pretty psyched about it, and got painting on him pretty quickly. I don't think I even airbrush. No, I did airbrush the basic brown. Actually, I did. Um,
Okay.
but everything beyond that has been done by brush. It's been going pretty quick. I should get back to him. He's been sat on the desk for a few days now as I've done Ember Guard stuff and got back to the Relic Blade stuff. But yes, very much enjoying painting him up. So those have been the big ones for me. Thank you. Oh, we have a Sneaky Pete in the chat. Sneaky Pete says that that looks amazing. I'm assuming you mean Muttley, but whichever one you mean, I appreciate it because I've been having a lot of fun with making those and painting them up. So,
So a little bit of context too is when Deb and I roomed together at ReaperCon, we had a conversation about who was better, Muttley or, of course, the correct answer, which is the number one super guy, Hong Kong Fooey. But you know, you
wrong.
can see. So just so you know, I like found that Muttley model and printed it out and said I'm going to send it to Deb. So that inspired me to go look for others 80s dog cartoon characters. And so now I have six of them, and my goal is to create a little display inside a TV that's 80s cartoon dogs, and has Hong Kong Fooey, Muttley, Underdog, um, Astro, uh, or Dynamite. I always mix up Astro and Dynamite, and then so it's yeah, Underdog, Muttley, Hong Kong Fooey, uh, Dynamite. Oh God, I can't remember the fifth now because I picked five of them.
Scooby?
No, I wanted Scooby, but I didn't like. There was no Scooby model that I liked. That it didn't fit the aesthetic of the others.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, that's.
Underdog is a look.
Yeah, Scooby's been around for so long now that the style has changed over time, especially with the live action stuff and things.
Right, and can you even really call him an 80s dog? Isn't Scooby from the 70s?
Yeah, you
I
might be
guess he
right.
was like he was on in the 80s for sure,
Yeah,
absolutely. But I
yeah.
think Scooby might be predate those other dogs. I'd have to look it up, but so anyways, that's my goal at some point to have a little display of 80s, cartoon dogs, with of course the number one super guy in the middle.
Nice, nice. I like it. I mean, wrong focal point, but other than that, I like it. That looked an awful lot like you just drank your paint water, by the way.
It's not. It's a solo paint water. This is paint water.
There we go. Okay, okay.
Red Solo Cup is the other drink.
I've got all of
I hope I
the
don't.
Reaper cups, which are mostly red, which is why I'm like red cup, probably paint water. But
So yeah, I do have a collection of them, of those Reaper cups, because a couple of years before I went to ReaperCon, I had bought the swag bag online,
mm-hmm.
and so those came with the cups, and so I have like six or seven of them, even though I've only been three ReaperCons or two, three, yeah, three, because
Three.
I went,
We've done
then
two
bought it.
together. Then you did one that I missed. Then I did one that you missed.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly,
yeah.
exactly, and so yeah, but it's those look great, Dev, man. I loved honestly, the one of the reasons why I sent that Muttley to you is because you had been in a funk of painting not painting anything that wasn't kind of gaming.
Yeah,
And so I figured this would strike a lot of chords for you that
definitely did
just
the
have
job.
fun.
Yeah, yeah, it definitely did the job. I'm still not sure I'm getting up to a point where I can get to something that I feel comfortable entering. This is a long way short of that. But it
Mhm.
has been a lot of fun to paint, and it's textural stuff, which is what I love painting anyway. Um, the hat, because it's going to be that kind of leather flying cap, I'm going to play around with stipple texturing on that, which I
Mhm.
haven't really done since. I mean, I did it for Angelica Fairweather's hat, but it was one of the first things I did on that piece, so that was probably getting on for a year ago now. So yeah,
Mhm.
it definitely worked, man. Thank you so much for sending him to me.
Oh, my pleasure, man. My pleasure. The other thing to throw a question at to you. Um, how was the basing material? Was it diverse enough? Was it enough to play with?
It's great. Yeah, I need to figure out what I'm gonna mess around with to put it on,
Mhm.
because I'm in the. I mean, Emberguard is all pre-sculpted. I'm not gonna mess around with embellishing that.
Right,
Um,
right.
the Relic Blade stuff I've kind of got a set design for already in mind. Um,
Mhm.
so I need to think up what project I'm going to kick off. And I'm not going to lie, Lord of the Rings has kind of been tempting me a little bit. I have a box set, and it seems like the new set is getting some hype. So there's some temptation there, or I might go somewhere else. But I also may just diorama it. I may just do something display. I could actually embellish the girl that you sent me a while back, because I've got that partly based up and primed and ready to go when I'm feeling the vibe for it.
Mhm.
But
And just so you know, there's everything from like sci-fi rubble to plants and stuff in there. Like
yeah,
I tried to give you a diversity
yeah,
of
dungeon dwelling
of
treasure chests and everything. It's huge. It's amazing.
yeah. Okay, good.
It's a fantastic selection. I think for folks who haven't seen this, I put up photos on my Blue Sky account. I think maybe on the Listening to Paint Dry Blue Sky account. But there's some photos of Mike got me a nice little jewelry case as well with the or screw pocket case thing to keep everything in, and it's a phenomenal selection. Thank you so much for
Okay.
printing that for me, man. Yeah,
Oh, of course, my pleasure. And everything stayed in. My use of bubble wrap was successful. I was really worried about it, like all of a sudden, all of it being mixed up.
yeah, no, it worked
And so,
perfect. It worked perfect.
okay, good.
Yeah,
Good, good, good. Yeah. And that's one of the things that's funny is when I was teaching a class, some of the flowers or the ferns broke on people, and they're like, "Oh man, I'm like, no, use it.
yeah,
Like that's perfect. Like take that broken piece and like put some dirt over it. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
and just brighten, really put a bright edge on the other thing. It'll look good. Or break it off and put it next to a rock.
yeah.
Like so it looks like that it's growing next to a rock and stuff. And so it's just like, one of those things that you never think about. Like I would complain about grass tufts, and then somebody said, "Well, why don't you just cut them?" And I'm like, "Oh, yeah, I guess I could just cut them.
Yeah,
That makes total sense.
yeah.
Why didn't I think of that before?" Like just stupid. You have those stupid realizations of things, and so um, good. And it sounds like productive painting though. Your texture and your fur looks really good, really good.
It has
That
been fun. Maybe not pushing myself in the areas I need to push myself on, but still, it just enjoying the process is what I've been lacking. So yeah, it's definitely
Yeah,
good.
and also painting fur is tricky, right? Let me throw one thing to you. Have you ever watched Wildlife Studios
No, I don't think I
videos?
have.
Wildlife Studios, the guy paints a lot of fur, and he goes through and shows how to paint it. And I feel like a lot of it is applicable for what we do. And so basically, how you start out is um, big, broad strokes of fur are the dark,
I have
and
seen
then you
this. I
work
think
your
you
way.
may have sent it to me before. You start with broader
Yeah,
fur strokes and blocks, color blocks, and then you refine both the brush size and the color choice as you go down. So you're picking out tufts, and then you're picking out clumps of hair, and then you're picking out strands of hair as you kind of refine it down. And you've got those
right.
waves of light and dark. Yeah, it's actually a really cool way of looking at it. It's still not a manner I've tried painting fur in. I do the hair texture, but I just spend a huge amount of time just blocking each section out in a similar way,
Right.
but with the same brush stroke each time. Yeah, I should
And
try
so
that.
one of the things that it makes that whatchamacallit, that technique easier is using different shaped brushes.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
so I always start that out. Like when I start doing it, I have like a size one filbert. And when I started out, I don't want to, you take most of the paint off the brush. You still want the paint to come off, but you don't want like a clump of paint,
Yeah.
a big runny clump of paint. And so you're, and you never, almost never go the same direction with the brush. And then you switch from a filbert to a chisel, and then all of the last hairs are done, like the last 2 or 3 layers of hair. That's when you're using your pointed
Yeah.
round and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, how are we doing in the chat? What's up going on in there?
Not much action in the chat recently. I think we should incentivize them to throw down some posts with a list of classic old hammer models that may or may not be up for sale shortly.
Right, exactly. And we have a new subscriber on YouTube, Mike the Shiny Mew, subscribed to us on YouTube. So,
Oh,
Mike, if
thanks,
you listen
Mike.
to this, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mike. Let us see. Let me share my screen, and we will do the entire screen as we have learned. Mike has learned in the past, and then now we are here, and so here are the lists. So ignore the prices, everybody. We're just in the process of starting this, but so I don't know how well this is showing up,
It's pretty
but
clear. You may want to click the hide button and close out the new subscriber notification. Perfect.
all right. Okay, perfect. There we go. And so this is kind of really cool. The top ones are all in boxes. So there's a Juggernaut of Corn sealed, brand new in box.
I mean,
The dark,
if you're losing the game, you can just brain someone with that. Just take your opponent out the
really?
old school way. That thing weighs
Yep.
a ton.
Oh yes, 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 yes. And then you also in boxes have the Dark Eldar Scourges and the Witches. The Lord of Corn in a sealed box, and he is on a Juggernaut as well. Then there's the original Bloodthirster, brand new, sealed in box, which is crazy.
When you say the original Bloodthirster, are you talking about the one that's about the size of a Space Marine, or are you talking about the first big Bloodthirster?
It's the first big Bloodthirster.
Okay.
I didn't know there was a Bloodthirster.
Yeah, there's a weird Rogue Trader era one that looks
Oh no,
very
it's not
very
that.
stunty.
No, this is healthy.
Okay.
This is probably weighs more than. I mean, the ones that you can really brain somebody with are the old school Space Marine dreadnoughts.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
This weighs like that.
Right.
It feels like that weight
Right. Right.
wise. Then we have also the Space Marine Veteran Sergeants, the original blister pack of them, a Terminator Inquisitor, which is gorgeous. Love that guy. A Space Marine Scout with a heavy bolter, which is funny. That's an old school model. Um, Space Marine Sergeant. There's a couple of different Space Marine Sergeants. The way you know the difference between them, one has got a mechanical arm. You know
Yep.
the two metal rod mechanical arm. Um, so they got some. Oh, it has all of the Blood Angels metal characters in it, all in packs. So you got Mephiston, Dante, Tycho, Corbulo, and I pulled out. This is user dibs, worker dibs. I pulled out Asterith Grim for me because that's the only one I don't have. Um, and I'm not thrilled with the new model. The new model is They could have done so much more with it. There's also a couple of different Grey Knight Terminators, Captain Sicarius, the old Space Marine Chaplain 2-pack, uh, the Khorne Berserker Champion, and then the fun thing is they're in different areas, but it had they actually have all of the variations of the original metal Noise
I
Marines,
want them,
which is
man.
really
I
cool.
want them.
Okay. We can definitely have that conversation. There's a bunch of like, for example, is it Tesnich, Thousand
Zeech.
Sun Marines, like
Yep.
you could tell this guy was building an army. He's got 4 of the 2 packs of them,
Ooh.
and then there's the original. These somebody was telling me that these Imperial Guardsmen are from some event. They're two basically Imperial Guardsmen standing at attention, like parade attention with the rifle on the ground. I think that's called parade attention. Military people would have a better understanding of that. And then
Do you know if
there's
they're
this
Acadian style guardsmen or?
Circadian.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Um, Then you have the more with noise marine with blaster master, and then there's the one with the
Sonic.
sonic
Yeah.
blaster. So a couple of packs of the original flayed ones. Really ugly. Original Ogrins are just ugly.
I love them.
Uh,
I love them.
oh, they're really. Oh,
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
It was the fact
Um,
that they'd like slightly scaled the weapons, but not really. So the weapons still looked a
uh,
little dinky, but they looked bigger, like more impressive than the guards' weapons. I kind of liked them.
right, right. And you have the original Asmodee Dark Angel Interrogator Chaplain.
Hmm.
Um, I had all of the original Dark Angel characters, the original Azrael, Ezekiel, Asmodai, and then Brother Bathor, the Standard Bearer, which they killed that character off in one. It only took one edition to get rid of Brother Bathor. Now he's just a Dark Angel Standard Bearer, generic. Then so you got Mephiston, Dante, Tycho,
I
the
think
box set. Go ahead.
I think that Yarrick model might have been the same sculpt as the first commission I ever did when I was still in like middle school.
Yeah, it's the one with like the lobster claw
Yeah, yeah,
looking thing.
love that model.
Yep.
Love that model.
Then you have the original box of the Flamers of Tazich. Um, and then the Azazel Demon Prince, which I've never heard of before. Um, and then two of the Beastmen Chariot. Those things are beefy too. Those weigh quite a bit.
Yeah, they're hard to find
Um,
as well. Those things are
and then
scarce.
yeah, and then the Gothor, which I didn't. Hey, now I learned where Gothor Brown comes from. Gothor Beast Lord. There you go, and he's in a chariot as well. Um, Then a bunch of Epic stuff, which I was actually astonished at the price of the Epic, the stuff that the Epic is going for.
Yeah,
That's just kind of crazy, especially like the Avatar. The Avatar is selling like even the low end is in the 90s for the Avatar,
yeah,
which is ridiculous.
yeah.
Um,
I don't know if I
and
ever
then
told you this, but I started clearing off my student loan debt off of selling off my Epic stuff, and that was like 10, 15 years ago.
right. And so then you have a bunch of the whatchamacallit. Then you have a bunch of fantasy stuff, most of which is chaos. Um, and I think these are the ones that go the chaos models that can go between 40K and fantasy. Most of these guys. There's a few wood elves, like there's the original Techless model is in there, and then there's a high elf Tyrian. The Dark Emissary Dan is already like, I want it. So I can hold
If
that
he's
for
going to
Dan.
take that, he should take Albion Truthsayer as well and have the pair of them.
Right. And
Yeah,
so then you have some wood elf singers. Those are kind of interesting models.
yeah.
Uh,
Kemler,
and
the
then
Leech
blue.
Master, was one of my favorites when I was a kid. I love that sculpt. Looking at it now, it's
Uh,
horrifically busy, but it was a fun model.
right. Yeah, and so that it's mostly just chaos stuff.
Yeah.
After that, there's like a Warhammer Dwarf Slayer hero pack of two, and then a couple of last things, like there's just a random bag of three like fantasy models. Some of the specialized models that they have are the Black Orc from Games Day, the Kroot Shaper from Games Day 2000, 2002. Actually, the Black Orc there's two of. The Chaos Champion from 2002, and then the Orc War Boss from 2017, and then the original Sauron model.
Mm.
God, what a craptastic model that is.
I
But the
think that
one,
could look amazing if you got the right person to paint it up. Can you imagine that painted up by like Kaha, with Kaha's use of colors, with all of those folds in the kind of cloak on the chair? I think that
yeah,
could be pretty amazing.
or Alexandra from Craft World could do
Yeah,
something with it too.
yeah,
I would like, yeah, I would go either of those routes too
yeah,
for sure. But then there's something cool that we didn't talk about the last time. There are actually original Mordheim models
yeah. I
from it.
spotted
So you
this
have
in the
like
list. Yeah,
the Mindenheimer Champion, the Young Bloods, the Vampire, which is a great model, um, the Witch Hunter Zealots, and then of course there is from Space Hulk Day. Who knew? Uh, the Terminator Chaplain, uh, which is, yeah, I didn't know there was a Space Hulk Day. Great model though. But on the non-games workshop side, there's a bit of it too. And then this is not as clean because I still got to go back and work on it. And then we have some old school Reaper models, uh,
Nice.
that some of which are discontinued, like Harmonious Jade, Alandra the Sorceress, and Vosifor the Evil Fighter. Those are all discontinued. So those are, if those are models that you were looking to get, it might be an opportunity to get them. Now these are almost all in
Metal.
Ziploc bags. They're all metal,
Yeah.
yes, but they're all in Ziploc bags with the names cut. Like the guy put them in a Ziploc bag and cut off the top of the card and put it in there
Right.
with them.
Right. Right. Right.
Except for Judas Bloodspire, who has his blister, but it is long since separated, so that's kind of different.
Um,
Then you have some.
I was going to
Go ahead.
say those are all just 32 single figure, 32 mil single figure sculpts, right? The Reaper ones.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, they're all the small ones. They're all metal. Loris Hightower is a cool model. I thought about potentially keeping that, and then I'm like, I just need to stop keeping stuff. I have so much stuff that I have printed and messed around with that I just need to paint and stop collecting new models. Like I didn't even have a model on my Christmas list this year, which I usually do, just pick one. But I was just like, that's too much. Yeah, I had. Sorry, my Christmas list literally had four hobby things on it. I needed a replacement for my monument size one for edge highlighting. I got the Louis Sugden Rogue Hobbies paint set from Monument, and then a new microphone and headset, both of which are in process of being used today. So
Excellent.
hopefully it makes a difference. Then you have Warzone, and I know Dan Osborne, when he was on, he had mentioned that he was interested in it. Um, I don't know much about it. They look. Originally, I thought they were Reaper models
Mm-hmm.
because the packaging looks so Reaper.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and I'm wondering if Reaper made those models for them, which is entirely possible.
It may well be.
Uh,
They may well have cast them, and I think I remember seeing Warzone models on Reaper shelves in years past. I'm not sure at ReaperCon,
well,
but
I think.
Sneaky Pete saying that Grey Knights and Inquisition are his jam. So definitely a couple of models there that he may be after.
Okay. Yeah, we can definitely talk. It's probably going to be make an offer. Um, and remember, this isn't me selling it. It's selling it for the club. So, um, yeah, it'll be that we'll figure it out. And yeah, if you want to back channel me, Pete, that's fine, and let me know if there's anything anybody else on the chat sees that they want. Just feel free to back channel me about them.
Yeah, and you can always email listeningtopaintdry@gmail.com if you need to reach out.
Easy peasy right there. The other thing is there's some other stuff that I had never heard of, like Old Glory
Mm-hmm.
Miniatures has this game called Dwarf Wars, and there's a Dark Elf and his retinue thing.
Nice.
That's like actually like six models. Then there's some crap ass WizKid models. They suck.
Yep,
I'm
they
gonna
do.
have a hard time getting rid of those. Privateer Press, and so some of it's recent. So I actually have this model separately. Um, when the original mini crate for Privateer Press, like when they did that subscription service
Yep.
where they kind of had fun with characters. I actually did a model. I won a pin at the Nova Open with it. A guy who was made to look like a Fight Club guy, and but this is Ashes to Ashlyn. It's an okay model. I honestly, $20 is too much for it. But that's the MSRP. Then there's Dragon Rune, which is cool. And we'll get to the Rackham in a minute. I think I already talked about them. These are big boxes, and so these have a lot of miniatures in them. But the MSRP it was pretty surprisingly low. So you have two command packs. One is ogres. The other are like this is their version of what are the lizard people?
Saurus, Slan.
Or Soren. So these are very similar to Soren's, um, but Komodo dragons. And then there's a one pack of this Grontar the Mad, who's an ogre. Um, Then there's some Rackham,
Mm.
original Rackham miniatures. And then Iron Wind Studio, some gnome and his pet gnome conjurer and a pet dragon. I have seen that Iron Wind Metals. I had seen that model before. I had never. I didn't know who it was by. I'm like, oh, I've seen that when I when I opened the box.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's a lot of great stuff. Um, and hopefully it'll raise some bucks for the club to help pay for the annual show.
No, awesome.
And also a lot of stuff that we do is so we donate to things. Like one of the things that they're doing the restoration of a Connecticut flag from the American Revolution, for the armor APG. It's called Armor Preservation Group. And so some of this money will probably be part of a donation to help with that restoration. You know what I mean?
Awesome.
And it'll
Yeah.
go to a museum and stuff like
Yeah.
that. There's and I'll say stay tuned. We have a couple of other club members or former members that are getting ready to move into retirement homes, and so that will mean another massive wave of yeah, when one person moved with an amazing artist named Joe Bless, who's a member of the club for like 45 of the 60 years that the club exists. Um, he moved to a nursing home, and it took them 3 trips in a cargo van uh, to get the stuff that he had donated
Yeah.
non-painted. Then it took another 2 trips for the painted stuff.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, he'd been, yeah, for a long time. He had some, like, probably one of the most expensive models I think I've ever seen is the Scale 75. I can't remember the guy's name, but he's an explorer on this dog sled. And there's like 10 dogs on it, like 9 or 10 dogs on it. It's a gorgeous model, but it's like a $500 model. And he had painted that up. I think he had actually won a couple of best in shows with it because it's a beautiful piece. I was bummed somebody had claimed that before I even got a chance to see it. I was like, dang it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
That's they went down, and there's a big at some point in January, maybe February, there's a garage sale that's going to happen in Maryland at another retiree's house, and they're going to send a list out, and I'll put that list out to people too to see if there's anything anybody wants me to try to grab. Now it's going to lean toward mostly historical stuff on that, and for this guy, but not a lot. He didn't paint a lot of fantasy or gaming stuff.
Yeah.
And if he painted gaming stuff, it's going to be historical games. Like, I do think he might have either played Flames of War, Bolt Action, or something, one of the tank games
Right.
for that.
Right.
But,
Right.
so,
Awesome.
but that's kind of, yeah, definitely. Pete, feel free to back channel me. And I know JT and I were conversing about exchanging. I personally own the original Metal Harlequin box set, and he was interested in acquiring that. I also have the original Morty and Iron Guard box set with the guys in the fancy dress suits, and they have the cannon with them. Love that set.
I have a 300 model army of that's fully painted. Not very well, but fully painted that I got given in exchange for a commission a while back, and I'm like, oh boy, do I strip them? Do I repaint them? I don't know. So if anybody's got any ideas,
they would just be Imperial Guard. They wouldn't.
Yeah.
They like, because I remember back in the day, each faction, like you had Catachan, you had the Talaran Desert Riders, and then you had the Cadians, and then you had the Mordian Iron Guard, and there was another.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. And they each had some special characteristic, kind of like Space Marine chapter.
Yep.
Which would, I mean, why not keep that? I understand that adds more to it, but it makes the Imperial Guard so much more interesting.
They're bringing some elements of it back, but they're also updating it, right? So Rough Riders are back, right? They're not explicitly Attilian anymore, but there are Rough Riders back.
Mhm.
The Vostroyans, which were not really that big back in the day, have kind of come into their own a little bit. The Kassakin, because of the books, they've kind of come into their own, and they were never really a model line back then. But somewhere I should have that army box set of the Praetorian Guard that came out.
Right.
Um,
Right. Right.
and
Nice.
I don't know where it is. We'll see if it ever resurfaces from my parents' attic or whatever. But that was, I love those models as well, right? Classic
Mhm.
Rock's Drift styled models
Mhm.
with the pith helmets and that. But yeah, I mean, I think Imperial Guard used to have so much personality, and they've kind of kept some of it with like kind of faction-y kind of rules, I think, but um, definitely room to bring more of that back. Just doesn't sell enough, I guess. People are more interested in buying Space Marines, so you know they don't.
Yeah, that I mean that probably has to do a lot of it. I mean, because I guess the Solar Axis or whatever Oxus or whatever the hell they are from
Yeah,
Horus Heresy now have made their way into 40K, I guess.
the
Um,
Custodes. Yeah.
yeah. Well, no, these are Imperial Guards, Solar Axis or
Oh
something like
yeah,
that.
Solar Auxiliary or whatever. Yeah, yeah,
There we go. Yeah, something. Yeah,
yeah,
something with the sun.
yeah.
But that's a bit of a pisser to me that they got rid of some of those groups. They were so much fun to deal with, you know. And I guess I have my first not well I have I got that box set of the Cadian starter box set or detached whatever it was that was part of the Adepticon giveaways last year in the
Oh,
like everybody.
Combat Patrol.
There we go. I got that. But I actually that's been sold. That they haven't paid for yet. But the person is like, I just have not seen that person in like 6 months. So,
Yeah.
um, but I forgot about my Warhammer Plus subscription, and got the notice that I could pick get my model, and so I was like, great, I'll do both. I'll go on and pick my model. It's supposed to be delivered tomorrow, so I went on today and canceled my subscription.
Nice. Yeah.
It's too slow. It's like the animation stuff takes forever. I feel like if I wait 2 years, I'll have a nice healthy amount of stuff to watch. Because I do like the Space Marine stuff. I can't lie. I do enjoy watching it.
The content
Um,
when it comes out, it's generally great. I mean, it's not necessarily amazing, but it's certainly enjoyable for the most part, and some of it actually is legitimately amazing. But it's hella slow, and that's not surprising, right? Like, I mean, it's
no.
labor intensive to put out this stuff, and they tried filler content, and most of the filler content is fairly mid, and that's kind of
Mhm.
unfortunate. Um, I I really enjoyed the masterclass stuff for a while, and then Louise left, and I felt like the masterclass stuff kind of died off a little bit. I don't think the artists they got to replace Louise were as not necessarily they weren't as talented, but they weren't pushing the art style in the direction that I was enjoying. One of the things I love about Sugden is her use of really vibrant colors, and
Mhm.
that kind of got lost. And the stuff that they were showing was much more. Here is one step above what we show in the regular videos, if you're wanting to lean into the heavy metal style specifically, and that's not
Right.
really
It's
my
like
part.
Parade Ground Plus or whatever they
Yeah,
call it. Like, yeah,
yeah,
sub logos. And it's, you know what? For tabletop gamers, that's probably great content. That and the battle reports.
yeah.
I have not watched the Lore Master stuff at all, although I'm somewhat interested in it. I don't know if that's I don't know what the format is of it, if it's just some Games Workshop people talking about it, or if it's rather cinematic.
It's been a while since I've
Mhm.
watched it, but it was Wade just talking to camera and narrating some stuff with occasionally like kind of static images drifting across screen. It was very much taken from Arbitrator Ian's style of doing videos, but not nearly as well researched and not nearly as in depth, and that was unfortunate because if you're the owner of the IP, you should be nailing this.
You should be the
Yeah, it should be better than
yeah,
anything anyone else can come out with. You can drop new gems there that nobody knows about, right? And
right.
that didn't really happen whilst I was watching it. I enjoyed it just fine. Some of the topics were more interesting than others. I think Wade is a fairly good choice for presenting it. He's got a great voice. He's got the enthusiasm that worked well. But there are some YouTubers who do it better. Arbitrator Ian. There's the other one with the random number in the name that I can't remember the name of, but that's my absolute favorite because it's you never see their face. It's just beautiful artwork and narration of really, really in depth, amazingly well researched storytelling. And I honestly feel like if you were going to do that, and considering you vacuumed up all of the animators on YouTube, why did you not just pick up one of these guys and get them to do it? Because it would have been what they're already doing,
Right.
with access to stuff that they didn't have access to before in terms of Games Workshop's presumable own archives.
Right.
It could have been amazing, and I think that was a missed opportunity. But I guess the thing is that, unlike with the animators, they didn't really have the threat of lawsuits, right? Because they're not narrating copyrighted material, they're just piecing together copyrighted material in a compliant way with copyright laws. So, Games Workshop didn't have the stick that I think they may have wanted in combination with the carrot of come work for us. I don't know. Maybe they didn't even think about it and didn't even reach out, but it was a missed opportunity.
Yeah, it's hard. You know what though? I've been reading. It is hard to beat fan art in court. The fan art argument. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, especially if somebody puts it out for free and does not.
I mean, the thing is with Games Workshop, because they've done it in the past, they'll just keep going at you, right? Like, if they want to make an example of you, they're just gonna weigh you down with the stress and the anxiety and the ongoing legal procedures of it. Because, I mean, this is how they shut down all of the fan forums back in the early 2000s, right? Is they basically were just like, you know, even if you've got a defense, it doesn't really matter because we're going to just cripple you with the expenses, the time, the stress. It is the corporate playbook for lawsuits, right? It doesn't matter if we win. We can afford to lose. Can you afford to try and survive to win? Individuals generally
Then
can't.
I know that there was one that they went after that was a lawyer. Like there was somebody who did something 40K on
Yeah.
the side as fun, but their career was a lawyer, and they basically went, "Bring it.
Yeah.
I have unlimited resources because those are me."
Yeah. Yeah.
And apparently they backed off pretty quickly. Well, and they try to. One of the hard things about it is that they try to enforce IP that they can't possibly own, right? They are not even close to the first people that uttered the phrase "Space Marine," right?
Yeah.
Traveler was way before that, and they had Space Marines and Traveler, and they had Space Army. Like they had all the branches of space basically in Traveler, and then in Star Frontiers, which was an RPG before 40K.
Yeah.
So they run into those type of issues. Anyways, let's not talk about that crap. We only got a couple minutes left.
Also, disclaimer: we're not lawyers, so whatever. um, I
Nope.
I think we should probably pivot now to New Year's resolutions.
Okay.
What have you got, Mike?
All right. All right. So I have an overarching resolution that is, I'm going to call it my continuation, and cementing in the stone. That is continue to not paint for competition. Um, Competitions are now not even a backstory. They're now competitions will be coincidental if I enter them. Like I know for a fact when I go to Richmond in February, the local Old Dominion Open, I will bring pieces because we're trying to build the figure painting in that area. And so that is a different, to me, I don't even I'm not even looking at that as competing per se, as more of display. It is also a one two. It's a podium style.
Right.
Uh, I've got some golds. I've got some silvers there. I don't really. I'm not going there to compete. Going there to put stuff on the table.
Yep.
Um,
You got some first and
and
seconds.
so, huh?
You got some first place and
Would you?
second place. Golds and silvers, you generally think open judging, or I do.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I have some firsts and seconds, and um, so I'm not really. You know what I mean? How many of those medals do I need? You know, I can't even keep track of those what models won them. And so it's kind of silly to worry about that type of stuff. The second big one is um, I want to complete my list. I made a list of 6 pieces that I want to get done by the end of the year. It's a couple of busts and one diorama and then 3 75 millimeter, no, 2 75 millimeter figures and a squad. And so those are my 6 projects. Now getting rid of once I get rid of all this, the pirates are ready to go. I just need to do these Lord of the Rings, these eight, was it 3 times 6, 18 Lord of the Rings models. But those are all like almost in uniform, so it's kind of like painting Space Marines. Once those are done, that's all I'm focusing on are those 6 pieces to be done by the end of the year. And so that and quitting smoking is my personal big one. And
Ooh,
so
bold move.
and every my goal is to take any money that I would spend on cigarettes, put that in a pool in a separate pot, and use that money I save to commission a sculptor to do a piece I want to do for 2026.
Okay.
So double
Nice.
motivation.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
What about you, Deb?
Um. So, hobby wise, I think there are two big things. I still don't know if I'm ever going to go back into competition painting, or even really pushing for display painting at this point. There are some competitions that I've wanted to get better achievements at. ReaperCon, I'd love to get a podium place for the MSP Open. I'm not sure that'll ever happen. Or at least a gold in figure painting. I've got gold in diorama, but not in figure painting there. And I think that's going to be a case of what I feel like closer to the time. I will, like you, I will take stuff to enter at KublaCon, but I'm not going to be painting up explicitly for it.
Right.
My big two targets are one, paint all of the Relic Blade stuff that I own this year, by the end of this year, have it all painted up. That's probably about 40-50 models. I am not sure with all of them I'll go at it as hard as I did with the Lone Guard, where I was really playing with skin tones. A lot of the models I have remaining are monster models, so it's not going to be quite the same thing. Maybe try and get a little bit experimental here and there with some things, but they are smaller, more true-ish scale models, so we'll see. The other one is paint up all of my Warhammer Underworlds warbands. I've probably got about 15 to 20 of them that are currently unpainted, largely unassembled. So get them painted up as well. And again, those are the Warhammer Underworlds warbands are models that I largely painted zenithal contrast highlights. So I can bang out a warband in a day and have in the past. So between those two, that's getting on for maybe 200 models. So that'll be that I think on its own will be a pretty sizable challenge. So I think those are probably the two big things. I'm going to be teaching classes at KublaCon again. I'm going to be teaching classes at Gen Con again. I brought in one new class for Gen Con. I'm still not sure what I'm doing for KublaCon, so that will change a little bit. And presuming I do ReaperCon as well, I might mix up my classes a little bit there, so there'll be some slightly different stuff. I'm finally branching into NMM teaching. considering it's what I've been painting for the most part for years now. Non hobby related resolutions. I'm gonna give Dry January a shot. With the one exception of there's one friend that I board game with, and when he comes over, we usually have a few beers whilst we're gaming. So I'll probably have a beer when he's over, but otherwise I want to try and cut back. And I've been cutting back prior to this anyway. I have somewhat quit smoking. I'm not sure I'm going to go all the way cold turkey, but I've done this throughout my life. I've gone from a pack a day down to nothing for months on end, and I'm currently in the nothing for months on end mode. So we'll see how long that lasts.
That's because I'm not around to influence you.
There's definitely situations where I'm more likely to smoke. If I'm going out drinking with friends, I'm more likely to smoke. If I'm at a convention or if I'm on a work trip, I'm much more likely to smoke. If I'm traveling in general, I'm more likely to smoke. It's something that, like, as somebody who doesn't necessarily like being around a lot of people, it gives me a manner of being around a lot of people while still having something to do and keep myself in check. So, yeah, we'll see. I'm not sure I'll hard quit that, but definitely the alcohol I want to cut back on. Yeah.
I was doing well until Adepticon last year, and just being around Eric. Eric's like a chimney, man. It's like, and anytime you wanted to have a talk to him, he had to go outside.
There are definitely situations where being a smoker is super helpful, and I think that's particularly true in the mini painting hobby, because it's kind of surprising how many of the big names are smokers that you just wouldn't think about, and by being a smoker yourself, you get this opportunity to stand and chat with them that would never exist otherwise.
Right.
So
right, absolutely. Well, let us know if we have anybody left hanging around. Let us know what your resolutions are. We'd love to hear from you. You can email them blah, blah, blah. You can email them to us at listeningtopaintdry@gmail.com, or just drop them in the comments here, and we will thank you for the algorithm assistance.
Yeah,
for sure.
Sean has said I stopped dipping as of today, so I'm assuming that is dip coating for shading.
Right. So he stopped using the Army Painter quick shades.
Yeah. Well, good on you. You know what? I actually did kind of love those whilst I was using them, just as a way of getting an army done. That they work well enough for what they do. But yeah, no, it gives you a lot more freedom once you stop doing that. You can actually start exploring how you're shading stuff, how you're highlighting stuff. So yeah, congratulations, and looking forward to seeing some of those models that are shadeless or dipless.
Dipless. All right. Well, thank you all very much for hanging out with us tonight. We'll be back again next week, of course. But there's I have a little bit of a family situation that we're in a holding pattern over. My brother-in-law is very ill, and in the final stages of cancer, and so we don't. Basically, it's any day now, so we're in a holding pattern. I actually had to. I was originally going to a convention in January, the same weekend as LBO down at Virginia Beach, but I had to pull out of that because we don't know when. We don't have any of the, it hasn't happened yet, so there's no way to plan for it. So I may be available next week. I may not be available next week. We shall see. I don't think Dan is back yet. I know that the way his trips work, a lot of, like, several of them started on Thursday, so that's why he's unable to do them. So we'll see. We'll keep everybody posted. If you haven't already, we would appreciate it if you subscribed, hit like on the video, drop any comments you want in the video, tell a friend, tell anybody, tell everybody.
Sneaky Pete is joining me in Dry January, so credit to you, buddy, and is also going to try and paint up a couple of armies. Dave Phillips has just jumped in, and I think, unfortunately, just in time for us to wrap things up. But it's good to see you, Dave. And
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, everybody. Sure. Absolutely. We may be back next week. We possibly won't be. we will update the socials as we figure it out, and you know, keep your resolution for to become a better, braver, happier painter in the new year.
Thank y'all so much.